So the UFC champ Volkanovski has said that he has been enjoying the build-up to his next title defense, specifically because of the antics of the challenger, who is Ilia Topuria. Volkanovski is 13-2 in the UFC, and Topuria is 6-0 in the UFC. And they are both in the main event for UFC 298, which is going to take place at the Honda Center in Anaheim. Calif, I believe that's how you say it, Calif. And Topuria, whose confidence is extremely high, updated his Instagram bio to UFC World Champion, undefeated 15-0, meaning he's already counting UFC 298 as a victory. Here is what Volkanovski had to say about the matter.
People are lapping it up, and then for me, I get to play this. I'm an experienced champion. I'm just going to play, just going to humble the dude. You know what I mean? So it's like me. I'm like, okay, time will tell. You know what I mean? Like next press conference, couple of days. Your words are going to be much different. Someone's going to have to go onto their bio on their Instagram and change it literally themselves. So what a humbling experience that's going to be. And I'm going to make sure, I don't want the manager, I don't want their trainers or his wife or anything doing it. I want him personally to change that to 14-1 and contender, or whatever he's going to change the champion to. You know what I mean? So he needs to do that, because one thing that for me, and this is how I've always been, and how a lot of people are, you earn your spot. Earn, not given. That's been something, a quote I've loved using. Obviously, it's a quote that's been around for a long time, and I've loved using it. Let's be real. Look at the way that I had to get to the title. A lot of people had to get to the title, things like that. Look, I'm glad he's in this position. I wouldn't want anyone in front of me other than him right now, so I'm fine with that. But now he's already acting like he's a champion. He thinks he's this. You know what I mean? He literally thinks he's like some superstar already. And it's like, oh, mate, that all changes February 17th, February 18th. And he's going to have a rude shock. And, he's going to have to literally eat a big, humble pie. And I get to do that. So, it's a perfect for my storyline right now. Because right now, everyone's looking at me like, obviously from the last loss, coming off that, and people are trying to do, people are looking into my age being 35 and all this. So they're looking into that a lot, which is good. So that plays a storyline, or this young, hungry, undefeated prospect knocking people out, blah, blah, blah. Like, perfect. And then I get to just obviously do what I've always loved doing, is silence the doubters. I love proving people wrong. I've been doing it my whole life. Get to do that again. Like, I was in a position where I didn't need to do that anymore. But now it feels like look, obviously people that know. But I mean, then you've got a lot of people that are seeing that light, and people quickly forget. And I love that.
Volkanovski obviously believes that Topuria is getting a little bit ahead of himself, and he plans to humble him at UFC 298 by reminding the world who the best featherweight in the UFC really is. Now, what is my opinion on the matter? Well, in actual fact, I think Topuria is playing the villain role, or the heel, you may call it, perfectly. I absolutely love it. Now, maybe it's because I'm half Spanish, so there's a little bit of bias, but I think he's fulfilling his role and hitting every checkpoint, every marker that he has to do to become a UFC villain. And what people need to realize here is that bums on seats are bums on seats at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if you come to watch him win or lose, you're buying a ticket, you're buying a pay-per-view, it's money for the UFC. It's what Chael Sonnen did, it's what McGregor did, it's what Bisping did, and it's what Ilia Topuria is doing right now. He is playing the heel role absolutely perfectly. And the UFC is going to be ecstatic with what Ilia Topuria is doing. And Alex Volkanovski is clearly loving it as well. I mean, he's playing the role of the good guy extremely well as well. I've just shown you a whole interview where he's talking about how Ilia Topuria is too confident. That is selling the fight in itself. And if Volkanovski didn't like that, he wouldn't be mentioning it. You've got to remember that the UFC is based on story, as I've said many times, as Chael Sonnen has said many times, and they are creating a story that is engaging, that's fascinating, that makes people want to watch the fight, which means there will be more sales for the UFC. And I think that if everyone was a good guy in the UFC, if everyone was like a Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the UFC would be so boring. Imagine no villains in the UFC. It would be a snooze fest. Having people that are overconfident, cocky, who are arrogant, and then who can back it up in the cage. Ilia Topuria is a good fighter, by the way. He can back it up in the cage. Is great. It's what we need in the sport. We need that mix of personalities. That's what makes the UFC so good. But anyway, I respect the hustle from Ilia Topuria. Maybe a bit of Spanish bias coming in, but I am going to make a video on who I think will win this fight. That will be coming up very, very soon. What do you guys think? Do you think Ilia Topuria is a cocky bastard, or do you think he is playing the villain role really well, as I do? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.